The man accused of gunning down a father in front of his 8-year-old daughter faced a judge this morning. Trevor Dooley was ordered held on $50,000 bond. Deputies in Hillsborough County arrested the 69-year-old on manslaughter and firearm charges yesterday. Dooley's accused of shooting David James to death after an argument over skateboarders at a neighborhood park. The victim's wife says she's relieved by the arrest, but she wants Dooley to face a first-degree murder charge.
That's all I can do is cope because there's nothing else to do. He was just a very good man. Very good.
Dooley and his wife both drive school buses in Hillsborough County. He is now suspended from his job with pay.
Jurors heard a lot of technical evidence today in the trial of Trevor Dooley. He is the Valrico man who says he shot a neighbor in a park in self-defense. That shooting happened 2 years ago in front of the victim's young daughter. News Channel 8's Natalie Shepard is live in our Tampa newsroom tonight to tell us what happened in court today.
Well, Keith, forensic evidence isn't always the most riveting, but it does reveal important details, and the evidence presented by the prosecution today puts Dooley squarely at the trigger.
Did you see anything in the media about this case?
Wednesday was an emotional day in the trial of Trevor Dooley. The jury listened to the scared 911 call from Spencer Arthur, who was just 14 at the time.
It was my fault. Not really. No. The person that shot him was mad because I was skateboarding.
All right, state, call your next witness.
Thursday, prosecutors switched gears, diving into the forensic evidence in the case.
Now, there's markings on these pants.
Crime scene technician Kay Patel answered questions about the scene she processed that day in Valrico 2 years ago. Photos of a shirtless, then 69-year-old Dooley were submitted into evidence. FDLE crime lab analyst Daniel Radcliffe testified Dooley's hands were covered in a significant amount of gunshot residue.
My results were that gunshot residue was identified by the scanning electron microscope of the kit collected from Trevor Dooley.
Prosecutors are trying to paint a picture of Dooley, accused of shooting and killing his neighbor David James. They say he was mad kids were skateboarding across the street from his house. But the defense says the gun was in a pocket, not a waistband, and Dooley fired in self-defense.
If somebody was carrying the weapon in their waistband, like this, with this 4.5 inches from the top to the bottom, correct?
Yes.
The prosecution only has a few more witnesses to call. That does include 2 people who were playing tennis nearby at the time of the shooting. After that, it will be the defense's turn to present its side of the case.
Speaking of the defense, Natalie, there was an attempt early on to try this as a stand-your-ground case, but that was denied. So what do we expect to hear in Dooley's defense going forward?
Well, Dooley's attorneys still say this is a case of self-defense, and they say he pointed the gun at the ground that day. There was a struggle for the weapon, and James ended up hit. As we mentioned, James's 8-year-old daughter did witness that shooting, and she is also expected to take the stand.
All right. Thank you, Natalie. Trevor Dooley is facing manslaughter and weapons charges. If convicted, he could face up to 30 years in prison.
It's day 2 of testimony in Trevor Dooley's manslaughter trial.
Police say Dooley killed his neighbor, David James, during an argument over kids skateboarding on a basketball court. Our Chris Trinkman is at the courthouse following today's testimony. Hi, Chris.
Well, good afternoon. Prosecutors are trying to argue that that's what Dooley was so upset about, the skateboarding, and that when James interfered, he shot him to death. So prosecutors today try to reenact the confrontation.
If his hands are on my hands and this gun is fired, his hands would have a significant amount of gunshot residue.
Holding a semi-automatic handgun that prosecutors say was fired by Trevor Dooley, they recreated the struggle that led to the deadly shooting.
When you've been shot, and you've been shot at close range, your body is engulfed in gun smoke, and including your hands, and therefore you could test positive.
Crime scene technicians explained to jurors in painstaking detail how Dooley was the likely gunman based on the gunpowder they found on his hands.
11 was also a unfired round, and 12 was a .32 caliber shell casing.
A sheriff's investigator explains how he recovered multiple shells and casings near the basketball court in Valrico, where 41-year-old David James was shot. A forensic expert described where the bullet went after it was fired.
And what kind of damage did this projectile do to Mr. James's body?
It caused
2 holes in his heart.
As a result of the close-range injury, prosecutors say James collapsed right in front of his 8-year-old daughter.
When enough of it collects in the sac, the heart just stops.
How quickly would that occur with this kind of wound that you saw?
Seconds.
Now, this case will be decided by which story the jury believes. Prosecutors argue that Dooley was the aggressor in this case, while the defense says that it was James who came up and attacked Dooley, and that this is a case of stand your ground. We're live in Tampa. Chris Trinkman, ABC.
We have an emergency at Twin Lakes. Somebody's been shot.
Twin Lakes? What happened?
I don't know. 2 gentlemen just got into an argument. And they're both still here. They're both hurt. You need to send an ambulance ASAP.
Someone has been shot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any idea what happened? Or where the shooters
got into
are?
an argument. I don't know. We were playing tennis over on the tennis courts, and they were over on the courts here where they were shooting basketball.
Okay, we're on the way. Where are these tennis courts at?
They're at the very end of the cul-de-sac.
At end of the cul-de-sac?
Yes, at the end of the cul-de-sac. Please hurry. Please hurry.
Okay, I'm on the line with you. Okay, you tell me what happened to these men.
Oh, my God.
Where are they?
I think this man is dead.
Where are they? Is there a man down on the ground?
Yes.
Where is he, on the tennis courts?
Yes, we're on the tennis courts. You can't miss us. We're at the very end of the road. Please hurry. Please send
Okay, we are. Just a second.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Where's he shot at? Sir, are you shot too? No. Please.
Where are they shot at? Where are they shot at?
I'm trying to see, ma'am. I'm trying to see.
Does he look like he's breathing?
No.
He's not breathing?
No, he's not breathing. He's shot right in the heart, right in the chest. He's got a gunshot wound right to the chest. Please hurry.
Okay, we're hurrying, sir.
Where's the person
that shot him? Do you know? Did you see him?
He's laying right here. He's right here beside us.
Okay, the person that shot him.
Yes, he's the one that shot him.
Okay, so both of them are still there?
Yes.
Okay.
They're both still here.
The suspect is still there, the one that shot him?
He was laying on my chest.
You pulled the gun on him. Okay, where is the gun?
I don't know. It's here.
Will he tell you where the gun is?
I don't. It's here somewhere.
Did he throw it somewhere?
I don't know, ma'am. Do you still have the gun, sir? He still has the gun.
Okay.
Just leave it in your pocket. It's fine, sir.
Is it in his pocket?
Yes. Just leave it in your pocket, please, sir. Oh, my God.
Is he there just hanging over this guy or what?
No, he's laying on the ground, too. Is
he injured also?
I think that he's injured.
Is he injured?
I don't think that he is injured.
Okay.
Sir, can you hear me? Sir, can you hear me? Sir, can you hear me? He has it's right in his chest, ma'am.
Okay, and he's not breathing?
He's not breathing.
Okay.
He's not breathing.
All right.
Oh, my God, sir. Oh, my God.
Is he reloading his gun or doing anything with the gun?
No, he took all the bullets out of the gun.
He took all the bullets out of the gun?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, did he lay the bullets on the ground?
Yes. Sir, you can just lay the gun on the ground. You can just lay it right there.
Have him lay the gun on the ground.
She's just saying lay it on the ground.
Okay.
There's nothing I can do for this gentleman, ma'am. He's not breathing.
Okay.
I don't know what to do. His child is out here. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
What does this guy look like that's putting the gun on the ground? Is he white?
No.
Black male?
Yes.
What is he wearing?
Blue jeans and a white shirt.
T-shirt?
He lives directly across the street from this happening.
Okay. Okay, do you know his name or anything?
No, I don't know his name.
Okay. Do you know the person that was shot?
Trevor Dooley, he says his name is.
Okay.
Trevor Dooley.
Trevor Dooley?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see anybody across the street?
Yeah,
Who did you see?
Trevor.
And what color is Trevor?
Black.
And what was he doing?
Washing his car.
Was he in his driveway?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he say something to that skateboarder?
No skateboarding.
And where was he when he yelled that?
Still washing his car.
So what did the skateboarder do when Trevor said that?
I don't really know.
At some point, did Trevor walk over to the park?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me about that?
He just kind of like walked over when my dad asked where the sign was.
Your dad said something to him?
Yeah.
Where was your dad?
He was just saying where the sign was while he was like with me on the other half.
Was Mr. Dooley, or was Trevor still washing his car?
No.
He was. Where was Trevor at then when your dad was saying, where's the sign? Or show me where the sign.
In the grass.
So he must have walked over from his driveway to the park then.
Yeah.
How close did Trevor get to the basketball court?
Few feet, but he never really stepped on the court.
Do you remember what he was wearing?
No.
Did he have shoes on?
Yeah.
He did have shoes on?
Yeah.
And did he ever step on the basketball court?
No.
And when your dad said, show me where the signs were, what did Trevor say to him?
He just ignored him.
He didn't say anything?
Nope.
Did Trevor ever say anything to your dad? I mean, did he ever raise his voice to him or yell at him? What did he say to him?
I don't really remember if he ever said anything.
Do you ever remember him yelling at your dad?
No.
Do you ever remember him making any gestures to your dad with his hands?
No.
So, how many times did your dad say, show me the signs?
A lot.
Was your dad talking in a loud voice or a soft voice?
He's kind of getting louder.
And where was he saying this from?
He was walking up to him.
And what was Trevor doing?
Just standing there. He was acting like he was just gonna walk home.
Did he ever say anything to him as your dad was walking towards him?
No, I don't think so.
You didn't hear him say anything?
No.
So, you said Trevor tried to walk home?
Yeah.
So he wasn't facing your dad anymore?
No.
So was his back turned towards your dad or to his home?
Towards my dad.
What did your dad do? Think about that for a second.
He tried to get the man to come back.
Did he walk after him or did he run after him?
Kind of like walked fast.
Was he saying anything to him as he was walking?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Where's the sign?
Where were you when all this was happening?
Still under the tree.
Were you watching that?
Yeah.
Did he ever catch up to the man?
At one point the man turned around and came back.
But do you ever hear the man say anything to your dad?
No.
So he never said anything to him?
No.
I couldn't hear exactly what was being said at that particular moment. We had just both kind of stopped playing and were just staring over there. And I heard the exchanges kind of get a little bit louder. And then I heard the defendant, he used an expletive and then lifted up his shirt, kind of flipped up his shirt, and then turned around and took a couple of 3 steps back towards his home.
Why don't you stand up and demonstrate to the jury what you saw the defendant do with his shirt?
I just saw him take the bottom of it. He had a white T-shirt on, and it was not tucked in. I just saw him flip it up like this.
For the record, you saw him use two hands to lift up his T-shirt?
I'm not sure if he used two hands or one. I just remember the T-shirt. I think it was two.
And at that time, what did you see?
I saw something, an object. I don't know what it was at that particular point.
Okay. At that point, you didn't know what it was?
No.
Later, would you know what it is?
Later, I realized it was the butt of a pistol.
What did the defendant do after he lifted up his shirt?
He turned to his left and took about, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 steps back towards his home.
What did you see the victim do?
He took a couple of steps towards the defendant, and as he did, he said, something to the effect of, "Don't cuss at me, show me a gun," or something to that effect. I'm not 100% sure exactly what he said, but he basically said, "Don't cuss at me in front of my kid. Don't show me a gun and cuss at me in front of my kid," something to that effect.
How loud would you describe Mr. James when he said that?
It was a little louder. It was loud enough for me to hear him say something like that.
And at that point, when he was saying that, what was Mr. James doing?
As he said it, he just took a couple of steps, like he was wanting the defendant to hear him, so he took a couple of steps towards him. And
how fast was Mr. James going?
At that point, he wasn't moving fast.
Okay.
He just took a couple of normal steps.
What did Mr. James, the victim, have in his hands at that point?
Nothing.
Okay. And what did you see? What was the defendant's reaction to that?
He just kind of turned around like this, weight on his back right foot, and kind of moved his hand up here. And
for the record, you're demonstrating he's moving his right hand to his waist area?
Yes.
And what did you see the defendant do at that point?
At that point, he reached over, put his hand on whatever it was he had in his waist, and when he did, Mr. James charged at him. He lunged at him.
Okay. What was the distance between the two men at that point?
At that point, probably 10 feet, something like that, 10 to 12 maybe.
And you saw, at this point, can you make out what the defendant is reaching for in his waistband?
I didn't make it out until he actually pulled it out, and as they came together, I could see that it was a gun. And as they came together, they just kind of collided, and they kind of spun around like this.
For the record, I am turning to my right.
Correct. Spun around like that.
And then he went down?
They both kind of went over to the left, and when he went down.
So they end up on the ground. Continue. Your right hand is still on my right hand?
Right hand was still here. They were struggling. They struggled for just a second, and then they kind of went down to the ground, and Mr. James went over on top of him. And at that point, the gun...
You heard a shot?
Yes.
Okay. And again, for the record, let's put your right hand is on my right hand, which is by my waist.
Right.
Your left hand is on my shoulder area.
Right.
Of my right shoulder.
Correct.
And they ended up on the ground like this with Mr. James on top.
They were struggling for the gun in this area as they were going down to the ground.
You're demonstrating that both right hands are moving back and forth, struggling for the gun.
Yes, just in this area. So it was all happening very quick, and they just spun to the left like this, and as they were wrestling, went down to the ground, and that's when the gun went off.
And that's when you heard the shot.
He had me by the neck. I couldn't breathe. He tried to take the gun away from me. If he took the gun away from me, what do you think he would have done with it? I had no other choice.
What was your intent? Did you want to fight with Mr. James?
I was on my way home. I wanted to go home. That's all I wanted to do.
Did you ever threaten any one of those children in that park?
No, sir.
Did you ever threaten the wits on the tennis courts?
No, sir.
What were you doing, Mr. James spun you around?
I was on my way home. He just keeps saying, "You show me where he said he can't skate here. You show me where he said he can't skate here."
Is he saying that in the manner you're telling the ladies and gentlemen of the jury now?
No, he was loud.
Okay. How was he loud? Describe
He
it.
was just as loud that I could hear him. He was just as loud then as when he first said it, when I was across the street. I says, when he was keep saying, show me where the sign is, I put my hands up like this and I said, I'm not here to fight with you.
Did you ever pull your shirt out untucked and flip it up at him?
No, sir.
Did you ever have your pant leg rolled up above your knee?
No, sir. I decided no good can come of this, so I said in a low voice, screw this, I'm going home. I turned around and started walking back to my house.
As you're taking those 4 or 5 steps, what, if anything, do you hear?
Mr. James said, "What did you say to me? Don't walk away. Don't walk away from me. I'm not done with you yet."
Could you describe his demeanor and tone to you at that point?
Well, the first 2 sentences were level. In other words, and he said, "What did you say to me? Don't walk away from me." It was level tone. But when he said, "I'm not done with you yet," it sounded like somebody moving. So I looked over my left shoulder, spin me around, and I went back a few steps.
Okay. Now, when he spun you around, what, if anything, did you do with your gun?
Well, when I saw him coming, I put my hand in my pocket.
Which hand, right or
My
left?
right hand in my right pocket.
When he spun you around, had you taken the gun out of your pocket?
When he spun me around, as I was spinning, I pulled the gun out.
Okay, so he pulled the gun out,
Yes.
and what direction was the gun pointed at?
At that point, the gun was pointed down. But he just, when I spun around, he was still moving at me, and he grabbed me by the neck.
Okay, so you're indicating with his left arm, he's grabbed you by the neck.
Yes.
And you're pushing up on my neck. Why are you doing that?
Well, he was held my neck up like this.
Okay, now you had a gun out at that point, correct?
Yes.
That gun's loaded, right?
Yes. If he's on top of me, he had my head in this with his both hand wrapped around my neck like this.
Now you're
squeezing.
indicating, is it still his left hand?
Yes.
And he's squeezing?
Squeezing.
Is it a gentle squeeze? Are you feeling? What are you feeling right now?
It's the same. It's the same pressure that he used to get me off my feet when he slammed me to the ground. I couldn't breathe.
How are you feeling at that point?
I feel like I was going to black out.
So, what happened next? Is Mr. James shot?
Yes.
And when he did that, what happened next?
When he was shot,
Yes.
he released my neck, stood up on both knees. His right knee, his left leg slipped off my right knee over my kneecap. And he stood up and he put one hand up to his chest. And in a voice he said, "He shot me." And then he was up there for maybe 5-10 seconds. And then he collapsed on top of me.
In the matter of the State of Florida versus Trevor E. Dooley, case number 2010-15138, Division D, we, the jury, find as follows: as to count 1 of the charge, the defendant is guilty of manslaughter with a weapon as charged. If you find the defendant guilty of manslaughter with a weapon, you must also check 1 of the following: the defendant personally carried, displayed, used, threatened to use, or attempted to use a firearm in the commission of the offense. We, the jury, find as follows: as to count 2 of the charge, the defendant is guilty of improper exhibition of a dangerous weapon or firearm as charged. We, the jury, find as follows: as to count 3 of the charge, the defendant is guilty of open carrying of weapon as charged. So say we held the 19th day of November 2012. Signed, Walter Joss, foreperson of the jury.
Happy, sad, won't bring my husband back. but I'm happy.
All right, I will say something. And I haven't said this for a very long time. Number one, imagine a 240-pound, 6'1", black man on the court with his daughter playing basketball. A little white man, 160 pounds, came out for any reason whatsoever. The black man attacked the white man. And the white man shot him. The little girl had nothing to do with it. No one had anything to do with it. He brought it on himself. I tried to go home. I walked away. Okay? Now, do you really think if it was the other way around and the skin color was different, we would be here today? We wouldn't. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Into this week, and I'm thankful for your time, grateful you were willing to